Hi all, I've been sent a very interesting attacking game by David Grosvenor of the new Leela 20 network. So this is Leela ID 21740 against Laser. So Leela playing white. The time control is the Fast and Furious, 40 moves per 2 minutes with a 2-second increment per move. The opening E4 G6. So Leela playing white. We have this as the opening book with Bishop G4. More usual is C5, but this is an interesting start position. D4, we have Bishop takes F3 from Laser. Now Leela could play Queen takes F3, offering D4. This is okay because White can castle queenside, and it should be dynamically balanced. But G takes F3, so structurally it looks a little bit strange to do this, but there is dynamic compensation here. We have E6. Now this threatens immediately Queen H4 check. That's parried with H4. If White tries Bishop E3, the problem is if check, White would probably move the king here as best a move, because Bishop F2 there's Queen takes F4. That should be even. But moving the king is not ideal. However, it should be about even in any case. H4 is played. Knight F6. Bishop E3. Knight H5. Queen D2. Knight G3 hits the rook. The rook stays in support of the H pawn. Knight takes, king takes. Now H5. Okay, so this stops H5 from White clearly. Now Leela plays D5. After E takes, Bishop D4, immediately challenging the bishop. Much stronger than anything else. If given any move like E, given one more move, Black would play Knight D7, and this is mostly harmless, this position, because of Queen F6, supported by that knight. But as it is, this quick D5 followed by Bishop D4 is important. So Bishop takes, Queen takes, Black castles. Now Knight takes D5, threatening to come into that lethal F6 square with the knight. That's parried. Rook D1 now is played, and it's difficult to evict this knight without penalty. Black played Rook C8. If trying to kick the knight can go back to E3, and then there's Knight F5 in the air. For example, Rook E8, Knight F5, threatening Queen G7, checkmate. And this just leads to advantage in all lines for White. For example, like this, or even worse, to accept that knight check. This is just mating, crushing. So the knight for the moment is kept on D5. It's a beautiful knight on D5, looking in all directions at the moment. C4, we have B6, King G2, and this is the really fascinating part of the game for me. This King G2, you might think the king is just going to maybe H1, and would something happen with the rooks? In fact, guess what Leela plays in this position? If I give you 5 seconds. Okay. It took me by surprise, but King H3. It seems the king's safe enough there, and it's doing a duty, helping the rooks by protecting the H4 pawn. It does seem logical in retrospect once you see it. But the rooks are now free to double without losing the H4 pawn. We have A6. Again, on C6 here, knight goes back to E3. This position is fairly pleasant for White, this kind of position. So A6 was played, and the rook starts aligning on the G file. Rook G5 here now, B takes, Rook DG1. So there's an immediate threat of termination here with Rook takes H5. Just to put that on the board, say C6, Rook takes H5 check. Now if King G8, then let's put that on the board. There's Rook H8 or Queen H8 checkmate. Yeah, otherwise G takes Queen G7 checkmate. So we have Rook G8 parrying this, protecting that G7 square. Now F5. So this, pawn sack is of no consequence. Black's king is being undermined here, the king safety. C6. The knight goes to F4, and that was a nice property of F5 to give the F4 square now for the knight, putting even more intense pressure on this pawn chain. So here we have knight e5, at least trying to protect g6 a little bit. On a5 as an example, then bang, knight takes g6, f takes. This is crushing this position, for example here, and yeah, black would have to be doing something like this, knight g4 check, because it's just devastating. There's things like rook takes h5 and queen g5. So this is just winning for white. So knight e5. Now rook comes to protect f3 there for a moment. c5. The queen drops back to c3. Queen e7. And yeah, c5 was a bit committal, by the way. It gives up that d5 square. So this is, yeah, it's a very difficult position in any case. So let's have a look at the game continuation. Queen e7. Now the knight goes to d5. Now this knight's kicked away from that lovely e5 square. Well, it's black's best piece. Knight g4. And now, yeah, the logical, just snapping that knight off to get this lovely coordination on f6, potentially. So king g3 here. This is all very, very good for white by this stage, as you might expect. We have rook c7, h5, just playing in. Look at all of white's pieces, really aggressive. G takes. On G takes, G takes f5. On G takes h5, then that's checkmate. So we have G takes f5, knight f6 check. It's all over bar the shouting. Knight takes g8 check. So white's a knight up. And after rook g6, yeah, the game continued rook e5 in desperation. If the rook's not given up, say this as a token move, knight takes g4 check, 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 and mate as an example. So the rook was given up in desperation here with rook e5. That's just taken, and it's soon to be checkmate. This was desperate, and checkmate. So yeah, Test 20 Network is coming along with some amazing chess being played. If you enjoyed this game video, then click on the top left box, which should appear shortly, to become a member at chessworld.net and play against other YouTubers. And also you can check out all the analysis in advance from the improved menu learned from the masters. So I'll be showing some more Test 20 Network games pretty shortly. So thanks again to David Gravener for that. Comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks so much.